Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Shadowcast, a podcast about everything Shadowverse. I'm your host Szerro, and with me are my co-hosts Keishi
Hello, that's me.
and our guest host TaKa.
Hey, what's going on?
Shadowcast has been a goal of mine for a while, and honestly, I'm really excited to be able to bring this to you guys. I'm really hoping that it's going to help the Shadowverse community grow, and I hope it's going to help some of the newer players who are less familiar with the game get more of an idea of what some of the more competitive players are thinking about.
As well as potentially help some of the more experienced players get into the minds of other experienced players.
So Keishi, how's your week going as far as ladder?
Man, it's pretty tough being the only guy in the team who's not grinded to master yet. Playing a lot of Smork decks.
Yeah, what deck have you been playing the most, you think?
I've played like 150 games of Vengeance Blood, dude.
This week?
Yeah.
It's a lot of Vengeance Blood, man.
It's,
I've been playing a good amount of Vengeance Blood myself.
I think it's more interesting than a lot of people give it credit for. A lot of people just look at it and say, oh, it's so easy, go face. But there's a lot of interesting things, micro-wise, that you can do.
I think one of the things with that deck is you just have to know how you're supposed to aggressively evolve, and you got to manage your evolves.
Honestly, I found that defensive evolves with Vengeance Blood. I say defensive, but when you're going second, the turn 4 evolve Soul Dealer is so good because it forces a negative tempo trade for the opponent because nothing in the game will trade into an 8-6.
So TaKa, how about your week? What are you playing?
I've been kind of frustrated with ladder. I've actually had a little success with Ramp Dragon and Seraph Haven, actually.
What do you
Seraph
say?
Haven, surprisingly, is pretty good when you're running the Dark Genes because it lets you go aggressive on a lot of decks that might not be as fast as you. Let's say if you're playing against another like Aegis decks, for example, you can kind of put some pressure on and kind of confuse them until you drop your Seraph. And
It's a big body. They got to deal with.
Yeah, as well as a board clear, and you don't lose tempo like Themis, for example.
It's kind of the opposite of what I've heard about Seraph post-nerf. It's kind of only good into Aegis is what I've seen.
Well, it's definitely got to be good in going into Aegis because it just comes down a little bit faster. But I'm sure it's got some other matchups that are pretty good.
Yeah, like it handles all the Nephthys running out there extremely well.
Nephthys, of course.
Even normal Shadow, assuming that you go first, you're fine. In my experience, it struggles against Rune and Vengeance Blood as well.
Yeah, I myself have personally playing a good amount of Vengeance Blood this week.
It actually doesn't do too bad against Forest either, because normally they're not really trying to get you down till turn 9 or 10, and Haven hits and Seraph hits before that. So that one extra turn makes all the difference, as opposed to Aegis, where Forest definitely has the advantage there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rune, how's it been going with that Dirt Rune list of yours, TaKa?
With all the Haven on ladder, I have not really been doing too good with that.
You've been seeing a lot of Haven on ladder?
I've been seeing a lot of Haven on ladder.
That's crazy. I've been seeing. I queued into like 3 Bloods today, but then other than that, it's been like almost exclusively Shadow. I think like at least not almost exclusively Shadow, but I've been looking at my matches every now and then, and it seems like almost 40 to 45% of my games are Shadow.
Really?
So.
No, I've had a good mix. I've seen a rise in Haven and a rise in Rune.
I've seen in Haven a lot of Alana. It's memorable because it's a really bad matchup for Vengeance Blood.
Is it? I don't think I've ever actually played that matchup.
It's terrible.
That makes sense, yeah, because they just heal all day.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Because the way you beat Alana is to not let them keep a board. So they play a thing, it heals, it buffs. You should use your turn to control and kill it, so he doesn't get some super scary 14/14 Unica on the board.
And I guess like against Blood, Cudgel could actually be really disgusting because it could hit the Devil of Vengeance, and it could also trade into a Belphegor if the Devil of Vengeance had taken damage from like trading into a Unica or something like that.
Yeah. I dislike the Haven matchup in general for Vengeance Blood.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's the most disgusting thing when in the Haven matchup you get the Spiderweb Imp into the Devil of Vengeance, into the Soul Dealer or the Belphegor, because
that's extremely hard.
None of it can be banished. It's so good.
I love when you get to go like the Spiderweb Imp into the Succubus. because that's like it's perfect. The spider web gets that 1 damage in, the succubus hits for 2.
I mean, if you evolve the succubus on turn 4 or 5 and go face with it, it does the same damage as the devil does.
Mm.
I think that's why it's so good in the deck. It's just kind of a devil of vengeance that can be banished.
It's like a mini devil event. It's not exactly like a mini devil vengeance, but it fills a similar role where it plays board control but can also go face.
I
Whereas
mean,
the devil
it still does 4 damage if you go face with it, because it's always going to ping the turn you
Yeah.
play Soul Dealer or Belf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you're just like really winning.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about. We got all these spoilers that have been coming out.
Hell yeah, dude.
So what card do you think you guys are most excited about in this set?
I really like the Swordcraft 5-cost spell. What is it called? Council of Card Knights. It looks really interesting.
That thing, that's cool. It summons like 3 1/4s, right? They all have different effects.
It's a 1/3, a 1/3, and a 1. Yeah, 3 1/3s.
Oh, the 3 1/3s.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them with Storm, one with Bane, one with Ward.
It's cool because there's gonna be a lot of stuff you can do with that because you're gonna have so many interesting evolves.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to say it's like Luminous Mage, but you see how you have like the 2 different choices between what you evolve with Luminous Mage, and that can be really versatile, and you're gonna have that going on even more with this card.
Yeah, but what I really would have liked to see out of this card is same thing for 6 cost and maybe buff the followers by 1 defense or something, because that way it would compete with Alwedas, and as it is now as a 5 cost, it's competing with Albert and Luminous Mage, and Sword is already so saturated on his 5 drops that I don't see Albert and Luminous Mage going away.
Well,
Yeah, they're too good. I agree.
Albert's pretty good, and Luminous is also pretty good. But I don't know. I think it's possible that it depends what they end up printing, right, in this set.
Yeah,
Because they could print something that we don't expect at all. That'll just like make it so that you don't want to play Albert anymore or something like that.
It'd have to be a
I
really
don't-
strong neutral card, I think. I
I don't ever see Albert leaving, but I could see maybe Luminous getting passed up if, for whatever reason, there was some good neutral support. Because all these soldiers are neutral, right?
Yeah, they're all neutral.
They're not. Yeah, so.
Oh, that's
there's-
actually really good with the with what's the name of that card? The one that they spoiled for Sword as well. The Little Red Riding Mage. Because it gives you the neutrals, and the Red Riding Mage destroys a neutral follower if you have it. The Little Red Riding Mage is a 2-mana 2/2 Swordcraft follower officer with evolve. Destroy an enemy follower if you control at least one of the neutral follower.
Do you want to talk about these more in depth and go down the list in order? Bronze, Silver, Gold, Legend.
Yeah.
Alright, let's
Yeah,
do
we
like
should
that.
probably do that.
Okay. Okay, so the first bronze card, we're going to start with the Forest bronze card, Woodland Band. It's a 3-cost amulet. At the end of your turn, give all allied followers +2/+2. If at least 4 followers with a different name are in play, then destroy this amulet. What do you guys think?
So one of the interesting things about this is that actually it's just 4 followers on the field. It doesn't have to be on your side. When I first read this, I thought it had to be only on your side, and I thought it was just trash.
I totally missed that. Interesting.
Yeah, I missed it too.
I'm happy.
Yeah, so if you're playing against like a flood board, an aggressive deck, and you play 2 fairies, you're going to have 2 3/3s on turn 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, it might be pretty good. I don't know. It's definitely possible that it's a little slow.
Yeah, I feel like this is trying to go for like a tempo forest thing. Because it kind of, in practice, does the same thing Wind God and Cynthia and Blessed Fairy Dancer do.
Well, I was actually experimenting with like a super beatdown forest deck that I've been playing. It's like a pet deck of mine that I've been playing for a while now. And this would actually slot in really nicely because by turn 3, it's not unreasonable for you to have like a fairy or a water fairy and a May. And you could also just have like it's not that difficult to have 3 different things with a different name by turn 3. And if your opponent just has one thing, that's enough to trigger it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue is, if this card sees more play, it's really easy to play around. If it's a main forest deck, people are just going to start board trading on your 1/1s, and then it's going to be a little harder to really pull off an effective Woodland Band, I would think.
Well, they would have to know pretty early on in the game because they would have to be able to sniff out that you're playing a list with the Woodland Band because it comes down on turn 3.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the time they're going to trade into your 1/1 followers anyway, right? Because they don't want you to Ancient Elf back to the hand and get a big elf.
Yeah,
So-
that's true.
So I feel like it's going to be kind of a hard card to really pull off on turn 3 effectively. But
Yeah, maybe
I
on
don't know,
turn 3
there's-
it's going to be hard.
yeah,
But like on turn
that's
4,
something
you
there.
could play it with a 1-drop and you could play it with the Woodland Band.
Yeah,
It's possible.
yeah, it's possible.
I'm pretty curious to see if this is going to see play. This is a card that I'm definitely excited to play with.
Resident Forest main, of course you are. Let's move on to the Shadow
Haunted
Bronze
House.
card, Haunted House.
This card is crazy.
1 play point amulet, countdown 3. Whenever an allied follower is destroyed on your turn, excluding ghosts, summon a ghost.
Well, I think this is obviously incredible because Shadow has the stickiest followers in the game. So, playing this after you play Prince Catacomb or anything like that, I feel like they can get really effective trades, even more so, right? Because they're already really effective at trading board.
I don't know.
Can you,
I don't really
you-
like it because it's an amulet and it takes a board spot. And that means you can only have 4 things on the board to begin with. And let's say you have like Bone Chimera and a 2-drop and a Catacomb on the board. And you have this thing. So, like, where does the ghost go? It just fizzles because there's no board space. Obviously,
true.
that's a very situational and optimal curve, probably for Catacomb. But
That is true, though. Yeah, because then you should only have 3 followers on board to summon the ghost. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it's not as good as
I think where this
First
sees
glance.
play, where this goes, is this is going to go in like an Atomi deck. Because it's an amulet, so it takes up that board slot. You can trade your things in, and you still get a minion on board that can go face, and then you can just kill it because you don't need it anymore.
I can
It's
do
going to
that.
die anyway. And then you just kill it, you get the Atomi, you get that free 8/8, and you can pump that out really fast since the amulet comes down on turn 1.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Obviously, you don't want to play it on turn 1 because it's got countdown 3. It'll just go away, and you probably won't get to use it. But it's so flexible.
The countdown 3 kind of forces you to commit to the Atomy deck. I played a mid Shadow deck for a while. I called it a tech, but it was kind of cheese. I just kind of put a 1 of Atomy in the list, and sometimes it popped on turn 3 or 4, and it won the game. But that's rare. So I think this kind of card forces you to commit to the archetype.
Well, I think that's what the archetype already wants you to do. It's very, I can't think of the word off the top of my head. It feeds off of itself.
Yeah, I see it. Do you want to move on to a Witch of Sweets, Bronze Runecraft?
So, which is
is it a
sweet.
follower? Yeah, it's a follower.
And it's 2-mana 2/2 follower with fanfare. Draw a card if the number of neutral cards in your hand equals or exceeds the number of Runecraft cards in your hand.
Well, this you obviously need to have dedicated to a neutral deck. It could be very powerful if you get the draw off, but it seems situational to me. I guess we'll tell more about how good this card will be, once we see the rest of the set. But I think it has the potential to be really good. Yeah, not that
Yeah.
Rune really needs card draw, right, compared to other classes. Anyway, though.
Yeah,
Yo,
I think it's just a neutral craft card. I'm honestly not too interested in it. I've
Yeah.
never even liked Runecraft, or not Runecraft, neutral craft. I've never really even liked it, aside from the, big high-end stuff like Bahamut. That's cool.
Well, it seems like that's what they're going to be pushing this expansion. They're making a lot of cards that really care about being neutral. And this thing, if it works, if you get the trigger, it's just 2-mana 2/2 draw. And that's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it's value, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2/2 for 2 is already on curve value.
So
It's a pretty basic card, though.
yeah, I think with that card, what we're going to have to see is just what gets made with it and what neutral synergy they're going to print.
Do you want to
But
read
it looks really strong though.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Do you want to read the next card, TaKa?
Oh yeah, I'm very excited about this one. All right, so next one we got is the Big Knuckle Bodyguard. It's a 4-mana 3/4. It evolves for 5/6, and it has a fanfare Destroy an enemy follower with 3 defense or less. Deal 2 damage to your leader if vengeance is not active for you. I already think that's extremely powerful, considering if you're going first, you can activate its ability and already get value right there.
Yeah.
If you're going first, it's so gross because imagine if the person going first could cudgel you.
Yeah. I mean, on turn 3, the second player, they'd play, a Grimnir, and then you respond with Big Knuckle Body and just kill it.
It serves the same role Tribunal does in Haven decks. It's just the turn 4, when you don't have the Evo point going first, it just kills something, and it's value. This is better, I think, because it's a follower on the board.
Well, the Tribunal doesn't leave something to evolve into. Like the big knuckle bodyguard's probably just going to get evolved into a lot of 4-drops.
Yeah. So I don't actually think this card's that broken because the 4 slot is so stacked for blood as it is right now. But I do think it's good. It might lead way to another archetype, mainly control blood or like a higher end mid range.
I can definitely see this being good in Control Blood. Control Blood's my favorite way to play Blood. I'm just sad that it's not super good at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Vengeance wouldn't want this. This doesn't really put the pressure on, and they're not really too board controlling when they want to spam face or play Belphegor Soul Dealer. They want to activate their Vengeance on turn 4. But I think Knuckle Bodyguard will be really strong for Control Blood, and I think it's a tool that it kind of needs. So I'm kind of excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because Control Blood, as it stands right now, has some trouble getting into Vengeance. This is a nice way to get you there, or to ease you there.
Well, I think a lot of the time, Control Blood isn't about getting to Vengeance. It's about just denial. In the past, Control Blood has always been the
grindy deck.
Yeah, the grinding deck.
But it's always awkward when you're playing Control Blood and you just can't Revelate on turn 6 or 7 because you're just not in Vengeance.
Yeah, but I think that's what Blood Moon does a better job of.
Yeah, but Blood Moon is so slow, and it's a card that...
Yeah, but when you're playing a slow deck with no win condition like Control Blood...
Yeah.
Because Control Blood does kind of suffer from no win condition outside of running Prince of Darkness.
Have you ever played...
I think Big Knuckle... Yeah, it's a meme card.
I mean,
Dude,
I don't think
so much fun.
I think Maelstrom Serpent is its own not control style. Because I have my own Maelstrom Serpent list that I came up with, and it doesn't really play like a control list. It's very formulaic, I do the same thing almost every game, and if I get the right cards, you almost always win.
Yeah. I think Big Knuckle Bodyguard actually makes Blood Moon better, right? Because you play Blood Moon on turn 3, you're losing tempo. Bodyguard kind of helps you gain back some tempo by killing one of their 3 defense followers early in the game.
Yeah, right. Especially if you could evolve this afterwards too. If you're on the draw, you get to go turn 3 Blood Moon, and you get to use this as a crazy Priest of the Cudgel or crazy Dragon Warrior.
And if you're going first, it's even all the more powerful. So I think that's a really good card for Blood overall.
And so something to note with this card is when I first read it, I thought this was a half evolve. This thing just gets +2/+2, which is insane.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Premium stats for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that card come out.
Definitely a good looking card. I'm excited for it too. Next is the Dragon Bronze card. 4-drop, 2/4 evolve, 4/6. Elder Turtle. Fanfare, gain an extra evolution orb if Overflow is active for you.
I don't know what to feel about this card.
I don't think it's
a 2/4 for 4 mana. Does Dragon need that?
I don't think it's too slow.
They have Rahab. I feel like I would just rather play Rahab than this.
Yeah, but to get value from this card, you get value from Rahab on 4 because it's a ward. You don't get value from this card unless you play it in Overflow. And taking a huge tempo loss when you want to be dropping things like Ouroboros, Forte, and Sybil is not good. I think this card is bad.
Yeah.
Well, what's that blood card that gives you the evolution orb?
Moriana, the Bejeweled.
Yeah, and she's not very good. So I would imagine this card's going to be kind of like that. Like they both have slightly gimped stats for giving you the evolve later on.
It's something for take 2, I think.
Yeah. Could be okay in take 2. I don't think there's much else to say about that card. I don't think it's good. Maybe okay in take 2.
Yeah,
so the White Tiger, I know TaKa, you were talking about this. You were pretty excited about this one, it sounded.
I kind of like it. I want to see a rise to a more follower-based Havencraft. Not amulets or not control.
Well, why don't we go over what the card does? So the white tiger is a 3 mana 3/2 with ward, and it can't be targeted.
Yeah, I like it. It trades into Grimnir early. It can't be targeted early, so they can't whole soul swing you, for example, and keep going with tempo in your face. I don't know, 3/2. It trades with everything early. I kind of like it just for early board control.
Yeah, I really like it just because it can't be targeted. I run Mind Use in all my Stormhaven lists, and I often run it in non-Stormhaven lists just because the fact that it can't be targeted, it feels really good.
Yeah.
You run 3 of these with 3 Mind Use with 3 Mist Shamans and just make everything in your Haven deck untargetable. That's probably going to be okay.
Do you think, TaKa, you would want to play this instead of Grimnir? I would think you wouldn't, but maybe.
I think never. I think you never replace Grimnir. I think he's too good.
Maybe you just play both then?
I think it'd be both. I think it would have to see a different kind of Haven being played.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
and I think
with
for that reason,
more boardy.
I'm sorry, TaKa.
I'm just saying, maybe hopefully with all the neutral cards being released, we see a more kind of like follower-based Havencraft come out.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah. And I think this card ultimately means you choose in list archetypes. So you take Grimnir and this, or Grimnir and Tipple Defender, or Grimnir and Divine Birdsong. Otherwise, you're going to have too many 3-drops. So it kind of... Because everything's like Grimnir's auto-include, right? So
Yeah.
you build around that.
Well, one thing that's nice about this is it does help you stall to get your amulets to pop.
Yeah.
So that was all the bronze cards that have gotten spoiled. So why don't we move on to the silver ones? So
Yeah,
there's Axe Girl Abby. If Keishi, you want to take that one?
Sure thing. Forestcraft, 2 mana 2/2. Axe Girl Abby. Clash gain +2/0 until the end of the turn.
I think that's pretty good.
It's a 2/2
It
that
trades with bigger
4
things
drops.
for 2. Yeah. You don't need to evolve it. I don't know. It's not great, but it's still pretty good. Like, I think it might see some play.
Yeah.
I don't know. My initial thought is I don't necessarily want to be playing this, but it might not be that bad because it does trade into stuff. It's kind of in a way like Mushisu because
Yeah, it demands attention.
Yeah. I think Cygames dug themselves into a hole when they printed Roach because that card is too good and it will probably never leave Forest lists for as long as this game exists.
and I have nothing wrong. I see no problem with that.
So aside from Roach, the other good 2-drops that are typically run in Forest are Elfgirl Lisa and Crystalia Lily. And then you have 2-cost spells like Sylvan Justice, which are auto-includes most of the time. I think this card is just not going to see play over Roach, Lily, and Lisa.
Yeah, I think they're just better. Like I don't see why you would want to. So
Roach is better in aggro. Lily is better in tempo.
That's true.
Lily
This is
in
Forest
control.
Craft too.
Yeah.
If this was neutral, maybe it would see some play if there was some neutral support. But it's not. It doesn't even have the neutral tag. So yeah, probably not going to see play.
Yeah.
It's a cool effect, just like it doesn't do enough. I don't think.
Agreed.
Because it doesn't even get to retain the stats on it. So you can't go. There's no way you can go face with that 4 attack.
Yeah, this thing might be worth running if it gained its or maintained its +2 every time it attacked.
Yeah. As it stands now, I would not expect this to be doing anything too crazy.
Maybe we're missing something about it. Like it trades into something silly. Maybe something that hasn't been spoiled yet.
Yeah, they might print some 4 HP things that matter. Like Old Man and Old Woman, actually.
Yeah, so the next Swordcraft card, silver, 3-drop, 1/4, can attack 2 times per turn. Evolved, has Bane. I'm not sure about this one.
Wait up. What's is it Palace Fencer? There's a 2-drop that gives a 1-attack minion to 1-attack officer, either 1 or 2 attack, isn't there?
It's Princess Vanguard.
Princess
It's
Vanguard?
a 1/3 silver commander for 2. Give +1 to an allied officer with 1 damage, I think. Maybe it's 1 drop. Let me go read the card.
What if this is just... So it's got 4 HP. That's a lot of HP.
No,
So that's...
okay. There's no synergy with this card.
There's...
No, Princess
There-
Vanguard is give +1/+0 to a 1 play point allied follower.
Then there's... I think it's Palace Fencer that does it.
Just gives
Yeah,
+1
Sword
to
has-
an officer.
So an officer? This is an officer.
Yeah. But
so that'll-
why run this officer over the ones that exist?
Because you play this in Frog Sword. When you don't draw your frog, you play your old man and old woman, and your 1/4 that can attack twice a turn starts pushing in tons and tons of damage.
I want to like it.
I don't know. It'll just get cleared.
I think if it was opposite, I think if the Bane was on it, on the unevolve, and then the attack 2 times per turn was on the evolve, it would be a lot better. Because then a 3 damage 1/4 is going to get value. It could trade possibly 2 times early in the game when you drop it on turn 3.
If you play this on the play, if you do this on the play, how many ways are there for your opponent to deal with it?
A 1/3?
A 1/4. It's a 1/4.
It's a 1/4.
I mean, it depends what kind of deck
Can we
you're
assume they have a 2-drop on the board? They just
Yeah.
2-drop
But we
and
can
hope
assume
and
we
swing
have
it.
one,
Any
too.
damage spell. Any 1-drop trades into it. If you play it for 3 going first and they evolve something over it, anything evolves over it. Except the 1-drop.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what this card, if this card could actually fit into Frog. That'd be cool.
I don't think it'll fit into Frog Sword just because it's an officer, and you want Frog to be the only officer, so Conscription pulls it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that dilutes conscription a lot.
Yeah, but you don't have to play a conscription. You could play like a more...
But you're hurting the consistency of your list by not running Conscription.
Yeah, it's true. We'll have to see. I'm curious about it. And it's an old man and old woman. How bad can it really be?
That's too wholesome.
All right, let's move on to the
let's-
next card.
I don't think it's going to see a lot of play, personally. Zero wants to prove me wrong. Okay, next is the another silver swordcraft card, Bladed Hedgehog. 2
This
drop,
card has
1/3.
this card has my favorite art in the entire expansion so far.
It's pretty cute.
It's a little hedgehog eating a sword.
Yeah. Whenever an
Adorable.
enemy follower is destroyed, gain +1/+0. It's a full evolve to 3/5.
Oh, something to note about the old man and old woman, it's actually only a half evolve.
Yeah, true. But it gains Bane, so that's something.
Yeah.
So back to the hedgehog. TaKa, what do you think about this card?
I think it's okay. 2 mana 1/3. Nothing can really trade on turn 3 with it too well. On turn 2.
Spells.
I mean, it
2 draw,
gets
aside from
a
removal
lot of
spell,
spells
yeah.
kill it, yeah.
Yeah. So, it demands attention. If not, it's probably going to trade with most things. Possibly 2 things, I want to like it. It's okay on curve. Late game, I'm not sure how good it is, though. Because late game, if you kill something, what is it going to be, a 2/2/3? And that does nothing else?
I'm imagining a situation in which you hide this thing behind a Shadowed Assassin and just let it sit there against Shadowcraft. And it becomes like the Mega Shadow Reaver.
That'd be insane. My only
that's
thinking is just that it has to be when an enemy follower is destroyed. So maybe it's actually not that good on curve because that's your 2-drop, and then you have a 1/3, and 1/3s don't really trade into all too many 2-drops.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't foresee this card seeing mainstream play outside of meme lists.
I really want this card to just somehow break the metagame, but I don't think it's gonna. I want to see that
I
hedgehog
agree.
on ladder.
All right, so moving on, we have the Silver Dragon spell Draconic Lance. It's 6 mana, destroy an enemy follower. If you play a follower that originally costs at least 5 play points, change the cost of this card to 4. What do you guys think?
I'm a little disappointed that this card costs 6 mana because I don't see. It's cool that it gets discounted to 4, but other than that, it doesn't do all too much. It's kind of if you're not discounting it, it's just a worse version of Lightning Blast. That card hasn't seen
Yeah.
play since it got nerfed.
Well, the way
So
I see this card is that for 6, it's a bad Dance of Death or execution. For 6, it's a bad execution that doesn't target amulets, and for 4, it's decent because it's the same as pulling Dance of Death with an emissary. But you might as well just run emissary and pull a Dance of Death with it. I
Or
don't
it's-
think this is good.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like Crimson Purge in when you discount it, and nobody's going out of their way to play Crimson Purge.
and for 6 mana, like, I don't think they have any problems really destroying followers right now. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
cool.
Dragon doesn't.
Dragon has
not cool on
answers
turn
galore.
6. Yeah.
It's got cool art. It's got that going for it at least.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Master of Draconic Arts. Again, Dragoncraft 3-drop. 1/4 ward clash gain +4/+0 until the end of the turn if overflow is active. What do
So
you
this
think?
is the second 3-mana 1/4 we've seen in this set. So I wonder if that's going to be just going to be a thing that more classes are going to be getting these.
Yeah. Forest already has some. Cybele.
Yeah, they do
3-mana
have
1/4.
Cybele. So I don't know. It's 3-mana 1/4 gain 2 HP.
I don't
guess,
like it
'cause
at
it's got-
all.
Yeah, I don't see when you would use this thing.
Late,
I
late
don't
game,
like this
what are you
card.
going to need it for? And early game, it has no effect. Drop it on turn 3, you have a 1/4. What does that do?
There
I
is
think I'd just
actually
rather
a
play Grimnir.
neutral card that does this exact same thing that's already in the game. It's a neutral 3-drop 1/4 ward.
Yeah,
let me go find it.
I don't think this will see play.
Definitely. A Shield Angel.
I'd just rather play Grimnir.
This says to me, the 2 cards we've seen so far, this says to me, Dragon, we gave you enough last set. Take
Yeah.
it easy this
Yeah.
one.
This is not
Well,
good.
they might give us some cool cards in Dragon. We haven't seen anything yet. Everything yet.
To me, this card is like, what does it do? You don't want to run this in face. It doesn't do damage. For 3, you could be playing Ifa or Angel of the Word. You don't want to play this. You don't want to ward. This looks bad.
Yeah. So far the Dragon cards have been pretty unexciting. So next we got Through the Looking Glass, which is kind of weird.
Neutral spell? Is this a spell? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana spell with draw a card, then change all the cards in your hand and your side of the board that are 7 play points or less into neutral cards. So this is the first time we've ever seen a card that actually changes the class something is.
Yeah, I think this is only in here for synergy with
With neutral cards.
with what is she called?
Arch Witch of
Neutral-
Oz.
Alice.
Oh, Alice, you're right.
Well,
I think this is
There-
only
there's-
because they're pushing a lot of neutral this expansion.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like not having control of what's going to be played in my hand.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I-
there are already some decks that play Trail of Light, and this is kind of like Trail of Light.
Is it though? Trail of
It's-
Light's just it's a bad insight. It's just a draw card.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rune will play that, and Dragon will play that if they're playing the discard Dragon. So I don't know. I think if there's enough of a reason to play this, I think it might see play.
Yeah. Discord Dragon runs Trail of Light for a separate reason though. That's because it synergizes with Altered Fate.
Yeah, it needs to.
Yeah. I think it's hard to judge this card through
Yeah.
the Looking Glass because
We haven't seen enough yet.
we haven't seen enough of the expansion. We don't know what
Yeah.
they're going to release that synergizes with this weird neutral stuff they're pushing. So I guess
So-
we'll just move on now.
So next we're up to the gold cards. Next is Elf Twins Assault. TaKa, you want to take that one?
Sure. It's a 2-mana spell for Forest, and it deals X damage to 2 random enemy followers. X equals the number of neutral cards in your hand.
Here's some synergy with Through the Looking
Whoa.
Glass.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
So I mean, so if you have a bunch of fairies in your hand, and then you turn all those fairies into neutral followers, you can suddenly turn this into like 2-mana, deal 5 damage twice.
Fairy tokens aren't neutral already, are they?
But with the Trail of Light card, they become neutral. Or
No, you mean with Through the Looking
Glass.
Glass. I'm just double checking that for some reason token cards aren't neutral by default.
No, the fairies are force.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, suddenly Through the Looking Glass doesn't seem that bad, right?
So this is up to 9, optimally 9 damage
Well, 8.
removal spell, or 8.
8 damage removal spell. 'cause
Yeah.
it-
For 2.
I mean-
yeah.
in a reasonable game, you're probably never going to have this do 8 damage. I would imagine this is going to do like 4 to 5 damage.
that's
I like
still
the-
extremely good.
Yeah, it's really good. That's crazy for a 2-drop. And it does it twice. So,
Has good art too. I think this card will see play. I
yeah,
think
it definitely looks
even
powerful.
I think even without through the looking glass or whatever neutral stuff we haven't seen yet, this card will see play. Just because if you have like 2, 3 neutral cards in your hand, like Lyriel or Unica, things that people already run, plus whatever else they release, it's just gonna get value. It's a 2-drop that deals a lot of damage.
I'm
It
hoping
seems to pave the way a little more for a control forest list as opposed to
They tried to push
Tempo Rush or
Control
something.
Forest this expansion really hard, and
Yeah.
I never caught on. And I expected them to kind of follow it up this expansion with some stuff to maybe bolster it,
Yeah.
but things like Woodland Band and Axe Girl Abby didn't look like they were doing that.
Woodland Band looks like it's doing something totally different from the aggro decks.
Yeah.
But we already talked about this one a little bit, but why don't we go to Council of Card Knights?
Yeah, all I really have to say about this card is what I said earlier. I think it should be a 6 mana, and it should buff all of its followers by 1 defense or something, so that it competes with Alwedas. Because
Well,
Alwedas are strong, and it kind of fills the same role as putting things on the board that do different things. And as a 5-drop, it's never going to beat Luminous and Albert.
Well, for the people who missed what it does, let's reread what it does. So it's a 5-mana spell with Summon a Club Soldier, a Heart Guardian, and a Spade Raider. And the Club Soldier is a 1/3 with Storm, the Spade Raider is a 1/3 with Bane, and the Heart Guardian is a 1/3 with War.
I'm not sure how to feel about the card. It seems good. I mean, 3 followers, with different effects. It's sticky, right? It gives turn 5. It gives Sword some sticky followers.
Yeah, so the biggest thing this has going against it is that the tokens themselves aren't officers, so it doesn't work with Royal Banner. If this had Royal Banner synergy, I'd be pretty excited for this, because you would get the 2/1 Storm, the 2/3 Storm, and you'd get all these other 2/3s just hanging around. And that's a lot of stats.
Yeah, that could be good, but the fact that they're all neutral, kind of plays into the neutral thing this expansion. So we maybe we don't know what other synergy is going to be released for this. Maybe there's some cards we haven't read yet that are coming up that synergize with it. Just having neutral cards on the board, we'll see.
So next we have Little Sword Squasher. It's a 2-mana 2/2 Swordcraft follower and officer. With Evolve, destroy an enemy follower if you control at least one other neutral follower.
I'm sorry, did you say Little Sword Squasher?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's cool.
The card
It's
is actually called Little Red Riding Mage. That's hard to say. That is hard to say.
Yeah.
Little Red Riding Mage.
I think what this card really says is that Cygames admits they made a mistake when they made Soul Squasher destroy something just on fanfare. And to fix that in a way, they just made this one do it on Evolve.
Yeah, I would have liked to maybe see them synergize, because Soul Squasher uses shadows. Maybe if an ally, make this card a commander, and if an allied officer is in play, or if an allied commander is in play, and make it an officer.
Yeah, that would be
Did
cool.
it destroy something? Give it synergy with its class. Don't just make it an evolve effect.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to incentivize the neutral craft.
Yeah.
And Sword is already happy playing a lot of neutrals, so we'll see. So next, why don't we go over both the Swans?
Both the
Okay.
swans. Okay.
So Shadow and Haven both each got a Swan. There's Odile Black Swan for Shadow and Odette White Swan.
Yeah. I'll read the Black Swan. So it's a Shadowcraft 5/4 for 6. Fanfare, summon an Odette White Swan, and then evolve that follower.
Summon the Odette White Swan for your opponent.
No. Wait.
Summon an enemy Odette White Swan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it
So-
right now.
So when you play it evolves itself, and then you can instantly trade it into the Odette. And the Odette is a 4/5, and the Odile will live with 1 HP. It'll be a 6/1.
Yeah, I think the important part to take away from this is that it deals 2 damage to all enemies, and it evolves itself, so you're not wasting a play point. So it's kind of a board clear on 6, and you get a follower.
It's a board clear and face damage.
Oh yeah, and face damage.
Does that make the Black Swan just way better than the white one? Because the white
No.
one summons an enemy Odile, and then you evolve. So you have a 5/6 and a 5/4. Yeah, so it just no, it doesn't. It lives with 1 health. Okay.
Yeah, they both
Yeah.
live with 1 HP. The Odette lives as a 5/1, and the Odile lives as a 6/1.
Right.
But the Odette at the end of the turn. Let's go over what Odette does. Odette is a 6 mana 4/5. It's in Haven. With fanfare, summon an enemy Odile Black Swan, then evolve this follower. And then when unevolved, it's at the end of your turn, restore 2 defense to all allies. So it actually heals itself and it becomes a 5/3.
So it's 5/3. I think this card maybe isn't going to be great.
I don't think so either.
For the
Well,
same
it's
reason that
It's
Joan of
crazy with
Arc.
Alana, right?
I mean, it's okay with Alana, but the thing is, nothing in Shadowverse. I feel like you don't really have too much of a board, especially not in Haven. Their followers aren't really that sticky.
Yeah.
So
Followers
I'm not-
in general aren't super sticky in this game.
yeah, so I don't think you'll usually have a lot to really
Yeah.
and benefit off of.
Something I usually use to gauge strategies mid-game is if a plan to win the game requires a follower being on the board for more than 1 turn, it is bad. It is a bad idea. And
I agree with that.
That's
Well, look
the
at
reason.
Catacomb, though.
uh,
This is in a totally different class, though.
yeah, but that's
I think the Black Swan is definitely better than the White Swan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 damage board clear is infinitely better than the 2 heal. For exactly the same reason that Dark Jean is better than Jean.
Well,
Yeah,
Dark,
exactly.
The exact
yeah.
same situation.
well, Dark John also comes down 2 turns earlier. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm not holding out for White Swan. I don't think she's going to be very good, but I think there's some chance that with Alana, she's
Yeah.
be
I
okay,
mean, I'd
yeah.
like to see that. I'd like to see Alana back. Maybe not though. It was frustrating to play against, but fun to play. We'll see.
I see Black Swan being good or being playable, niche playable. I don't see White Swan being good.
Yeah.
So next we have Lethal Dagger. TaKa, you want to take that one?
Sure. So it's a 3 play point Bloodcraft spell. It's a gold rare. Give an enemy follower, if this card attacks, deal 3 damage to itself first. Give all enemy followers, if this card attacks, deal 3 damage to itself first. If Vengeance is active for you. How do you guys feel about this one?
I think just like Big Knuckle Bodyguard, this is aimed at Control Blood.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think
it's a really interesting removal spell.
I guess it's good because sometimes if you want to have a board, you don't want to clear your own board if you were like to Revelation for 4, let's say. So this kind of like is a semi pseudo board clear for your opponent if you're in Vengeance already. You're going to prevent them from attacking, and you can kind of ignore their followers, maybe push damage for face.
Yeah.
And-
There might
and if
be
you're not
some
Vengeance,
unseen
it's like-
synergy with some other card that we're not seeing also. But I think this is decent.
And if you're not in Vengeance, it's still like some weird pseudo removal spell. It's interesting. I think this is the type of card we're going to have to really play with for a bit before we start figuring out if it actually works.
Yeah, just based on speculation, looking at the card, I can see maybe a 2-of in most Control Blood lists being reasonable for this card.
It's possible. It's. I think the easiest thing to compare this to is like a cheaper version of Demonic Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
doesn't
of, yeah.
Demonic Storm also affect allied followers?
Yeah, it did affect allied followers. So, it serves a similar role as they both do 3 damage to stuff.
Stuff, yeah.
It's interesting. It competes in Control Blood probably wants to run Blood Moon, right? So it competes with that right there. It also competes with Grimnir. I don't know. Time will tell. I guess we'll have
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna have to play with that one. So, Archwitch of Oz.
On to the legendary cards.
Oh yeah, we're up to the legends now.
Yeah.
So-
Runecraft Archwitch of Oz. 5 mana, 4/5. Fanfare, draw cards until you have 5 cards in hand, then change the costs of all spell cards in your hand that do not have spell boost to 1. Last words, banish all spells in your hand at the start of your turn. What do you guys
Well,
think?
I thought this worked with D-Shift this entire time.
No, they obviously made it so that it wouldn't work with D-Shift because that'd be a little too broken.
Yeah.
So I like that they,
I think
thought about that when making this card. I think it has potential.
Did we talk about the last words this has?
Yeah, banish all spells in your hand at the start of your turn. I don't know about this card. I think if you play, yeah, because you have to play it past turn 5 to get value out of the 1-cost spells it pulls. So say you're playing Daria, right? Because this kind of might serve the same role as Sybil for a Runecraft deck, because it's the same stats even. So you play this on turn 8, for example, maybe, and you have Magic Missile, Demonic Strike, Piercing Rune in your hand. Well, they all get their costs changed to 1. So now you have 3 1-cost spells, so you get 3 spell boosts and a 5-drop. As just like Sybil is a huge body that ramps. So this is a huge body that kind of does the same thing for Daria for spell boost. If you play it past a certain number of play points, and it does the same thing, like it accelerates your win condition, and is a huge body that has to be dealt with. Sybil.
I think this might be targeted towards like the Earthright style decks.
I was just gonna say, like, what do you think about just replacing Melvi? Because Melvi sometimes the drawback is where you're giving them a hand too. With this allows you to flood the board, not giving your opponents cards, and get those cheap, like a 1-mana Demonic Strike for game. Like,
well, sometimes you even have games where you don't even draw the Melvi, so you could play both.
It would be a little top heavy if you played both.
Maybe you don't want all 6 of them, but maybe you would want like 3 Arc Witch of Oz and 1 Melvi or 2 Melvi, just
Possibly.
as like a safety net.
Yeah.
So this card definitely seems good.
It's going to take some playing around with. I'm seeing this card as a potential analog to Sybil for Runecraft. That's what I see in this card. Time will tell.
We all know Sybil's a really strong static card. I would be surprised if this card doesn't find a home somewhere. That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Maybe the new archetype pops up. I don't know. It could be good. Wait, I just thought. You run this in like a burn rune list. Not the Earthright burn rune, but like, do you remember that old burn rune list in ROB that someone was playing in the EXG tournaments? It was straight up just like Angelic Barrage, and every spell that could do damage to face, and it just pinged face every turn, and it won. It won an EXG.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah,
you could run this and something like that.
Maybe that's something that might be worth playing around. So you guys listening here, go craft 3 of these when it comes out. And get your Angelic Snipes and your Angelic Barrages in a deck. Try that out.
All right, let's move on to the Bloodcraft Legendary.
This card is really cool. This I think is one of the most interesting cards they spoiled. So.
Yeah, definitely. So it's Karabas, Wicked Fairy. 6 mana, 6/6, fanfare. For the remainder of this match, you will not gain a play point at the start of your turn. For the remainder of this match, draw a card and deal 1 damage to the enemy leader at the end of your turn. These effects will continue even if this follower leaves the area. So, this is interesting.
The first thing to note is that this thing is just a 6 mana 6/6. Those stats are insane.
Yeah, those are
with a full
insane.
evolve. With a full evolve, it's an 8/8.
Yeah. So, and then it gives you a pretty relevant effect. Like it comes down and it's got like some pseudo mini storm where it does damage at the end of your turn.
Okay, so have you ever been in that situation playing an aggro blood deck where you're post turn 5 and you're just out of cards?
Yeah.
This is the answer. Because in aggro blood, you're not running any card that costs more than 6. Top end with an Implanter in the old style aggro blood. And Vengeance blood tops out at 5 most of the time. So you play this thing, and you get 1 extra card and 1 ping to face for the remainder of the match after turn 6, because you're not going to top deck any card that costs more than 6. I mean, I think this is good in aggro blood. I think this card is really good in aggro blood.
I think this card is just really good in general. Like, I think you could definitely play this in Vengeance Blood. It might not find a home, but I think if you were to play it in Vengeance Blood, it wouldn't be necessarily wrong of you.
I think it's hard pressed to find a home in Vengeance Blood, because one of I said earlier that I've been playing a lot of Vengeance Blood. And one of the combos that has won me a lot of games with Vengeance Blood is
Laura, Soul Dealer?
Laura and Soul Dealer. And that's 7 mana. And you can't pull off 7 mana combos like that if you're playing this thing on 6. Maybe you can play this thing on 10 if you last that long, but blood decks don't usually last that long, especially
Well,
Vengeance Blood.
The list that I'm playing isn't playing Allura at all. Like I rather just like I found
like
that
Allura
Allura
sounds
is just a 2/2 a lot of the time, and it's pretty difficult to get its effect to activate.
I disagree. I never play it for tempo. I always mill it or mull it, and I never play it on 3 as a 2/2, even if I have it in hand. I just save it because I don't know what your list is running, but my list is running all 3 Soul Dealers and all 3 Belphegors, and it is
That's what I'm doing.
very rare that I do not have Vengeance by turn 4.
Yeah, but then sometimes you heal out of it with Diabolic Trains. It does happen where you just don't draw any Belphegors, and you start getting into this awkward situation where I'm just out of cards, and Karabas really helps with that. When you're just out of cards and you're just a few points of burn off, this can help draw you into your Blood Wolves or help draw you into your Razor Claws, and it's also putting in that pressure of just 1 damage every turn. It eventually can win the game by itself.
It goes back to
Yeah,
my point of this card being just good in Aggro Blood.
I think this card is just great.
I
Like,
think you're
I'd
going to
be-
see this run as a 3 of on Aggro Blood lists. Just top in
Yeah.
with it.
I wouldn't be surprised if this starts seeing play in multiple types of blood decks. Not control though. I don't think control would want something that says you can't have mana for the rest of the
I
game.
think it only finds a home in Vengeance and Aggro, to be honest. Because if you try to play this thing in Maelstrom Serpent, for example,
Well, yeah. Well, I consider that more of a
you
control
run out
type
of
list.
mana to play Serpent, and in Control, you just don't have mana to play anything.
Well,
I mean, you could argue that you don't have to play it on turn 6, right? You can play it till turn 10, but that's too slow, and games
Yeah,
don't really last that much.
Especially for
Yeah, I
Aggro
would-
decks, you don't last that long.
I wouldn't want to play this in any deck that has a card that goes over 6 mana.
Yeah.
And you,
Agreed.
you want it to be very aggressively curved so that you play the 2 cards a turn as well. Because once you play that, you're stuck on 6 mana.
Yeah.
So you want your deck to be a lot of 2s and 3 drops. All right, so
Moreover,
we're on
I
to the
think
last card.
I think you want your deck to be a lot of really impactful single cards that can just do one thing on the turn by themselves. Things like Air Jammer or Dark General.
Well, you play this Karabas, and then you want to just start hitting your Razor Blood Wolves. Just hitting the things that push damage.
Yeah.
The cheap things that push damage.
Yeah, this card is good. It's definitely going to see play.
So let's go on to our last card. That got spoiled.
Yep, the neutral
Alice
legendary.
Wonderland
Alice.
Lord.
Yeah, sorry. You read it.
So it's got Fanfare, give +1/+1 to all other neutral allied followers in play and in your hand. And is a 4 mana 3/4. And it's a full evolve, and it has no effect on evolve.
I think she's pretty powerful. You know, with all the neutral support we're getting on turn 4, especially if you're going first, I think that's really strong. Especially for a follower-centric kind of deck.
I'm not
One of the-
convinced. I
One of the
don't
thing-
see a place for this really. Like I see the synergy with the through the looking glass that we've already seen, but I don't really know if it's like okay. It's probably good. It's probably good, and I'm just overthinking it or underthinking it. But it's hard to quantify how much better +1/+1 on all the cards in your hand it actually is. That's not
I mean, that's pretty
something.
good.
I mean, yeah, but
You hit like 3 things. Say you hit 2 or 3 things. So that's 3/3 worth of stats. So that's probably like 2 mana's worth of stats.
Yeah.
it's
So-
hard to quantify because it's not
I
something
guess
we're used to
I don't think
counting.
it's broken, but
What I
it
really
will
like
see
about
play.
this, what I really like about this is this is a 4-drop, a 4 mana 3/4 that doesn't feel like garbage to play when you're on the play.
Yeah, I see that.
And so even if you play it on the play and then you get like evolved into, because that's just naturally going to happen most of the time if you play the 3/4 on 4. It's going to make up for it because it's giving stats to other stuff. And if you have a board and it's giving stats to your other things and it's letting your other things push even harder. Like
So
imagine this
effectively,
in
this thing gets value if it buffs 2 cards in your hand.
Like
right?
imagine going like turn 1 you play a goblin, turn 2 you play a Lyrial, turn 3 you play some other neutral,
Grimnir?
like you play Grimnir. Yeah, you play Grimnir. And then so let's say they had dealt with 2 of them. We'll give them benefit of the doubt. It's still giving one of your minions +1 stat, and then maybe a thing in your hand. I think this could be a very good card. It just depends if they make the neutral support for it. But
Yeah.
with a card like this, it seems like they're definitely going to be trying to push it.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to push hard neutral craft here, but it's going to be a race, and it's going to be an interesting theory crafting time after the expansion drops to see which deck works with neutral the best. I imagine it might be Rune. Rune sees a lot of neutral decks already, kind of as far as meme stuff goes. I imagine Rune is going to be the class that finds neutral craft as its home.
Forest, hopefully, right? Because I love Elf Twins Assault, and I'd like to see that.
I think we're going to see a few things because like even Dragon likes to play a lot of ramp. Now I don't know if they're going to get anything good with it because right now if you're playing Alice in your Dragon deck, that might be a little awkward. Like
Yeah.
you can Oracle into your Alice, and then you can do a thing.
Yeah, and if you're running like a Saha
And then
list, there's
you get
potential
into your
there.
Sahas and stuff.
Maybe what I was doing wrong trying to quantify this card in my head was I was thinking in terms of like what this card does to cards that are already neutral, like Bahamut. Like what's the difference between a 13-13 and a 14-14, right? It's
Well,
doesn't
there
matter.
is none. They both end the game.
Yeah.
But
But-
with your goblins, or like imagine if you just go like you played a goblin princess, and then on turn 6 you play the Alice. That's crazy. It's pretty good.
Okay, so I'm coming up with this meme deck in my head. So imagine a situation in playing Sword, where you're playing Alice, and you have an Albert in your hand, and you are running the 3-drop Amulet, Luminous Standard, give +1 to allied commanders. So you play that on 3, you play Alice on 4, maybe you play another Alice somewhere along the line, so that's +2, and you can play another Luminous Standard, or amulets that buff things that buff commanders on the board. And then you
Albert's
play
gonna hit for,
Albert,
like,
and you just
20.
have this big ass Albert.
No,
that-
because Albert only isn't the neutral.
no, but
Through
you
the
use
looking
through the
glass.
looking glass.
Oh, through the looking glass.
Through the
That'd
looking
be-
glass to just make Albert neutral, and then buff it with Alice and with. So you threw the looking glass on 2, and then you Luminous Standard, and then you Alice, and then you can Luminous Standard and a 2-drop, and then you can Alice and a 2-drop. And then
That's
by
gonna
the
be-
time you get to turn 9, you're gonna have like this 7/7 or 7. What is it? It's like
7-9.
7/9 Albert with unevolved. Like that's an OTK Albert.
That
That's
actually
right.
sounds really incredible.
that actually sounds impossible to do in a game.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
now
That's
I
super
challenge you to do that.
unrealistic.
Within the first week, Kaishi, I want to see you have a video of yourself doing this to somebody on ladder.
But I mean, even if Albert just gets +1/+1,
Okay, I'll do it,
it's
dude.
still 12 damage as opposed to 10, which puts you in a higher reach to end the game on 9.
Yeah,
Like
I've seen.
one Alice on Albert changes the game.
Yeah.
I ran into on ladder the other day a deck that was running Luminous Standard and Leonidas, and it hit me with like an 8-something Albert on turn 10. Yeah, an enhanced Albert. It was like
That's pretty spooky.
It was like 16 damage or something. It was stupid.
All right, so there's potential there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with neutral craft.
Time will tell. We can do another video after the entire card catalog has been released, and we can just kind of look through all the cards and talk about them all with full context.
Yeah, I think we should do that. But
Yeah.
as cards get spoiled every week, we can talk about the ones that come out too.
Yeah.
So I think we hit just about everything we wanted to hit today. We're going. How long have we gone already?
About 50 minutes.
We've got about So we've hit about everything. I think we should hit for today. So some of the last notes actually to cover. So scratch what I just said. Is we got the HSK Meme League coming up on this Monday. So today is a Wednesday. We're recording on the 7th of June. So on the what is that? On the 12th of June, we're going to be having our meme league. We'll post the link to that in the description. And if any of you guys can make it to that, that'd be a whole lot of fun.
By
And
the
if
way,
you guys can,
Meme League this week is a reverse Take-Two tournament. Draft the worst cards possible for the opponent, or the best cards if you're just that ballsy. It doesn't matter. Do what you want. But it should
have
be
a
fun.
gentleman's agreement with your opponent.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. I look forward to it. Reverse Take-Two is super interesting, I think. And not a lot of people know you can actually do that, like in the game client.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't know you could do that until you told me about it the other day.
yeah, it's super cool. We should play after this. Some reverse take too.
Yeah, it sounds fun. So, yeah, every week, the meme league happens every other week, and every time we have it, we're going to be changing up the rules to make things interesting. By the end of the league, we're going to add up everyone's scores, and the person who wins is going to get some monetary prizes, and we might have some more prizes coming along down the line as well. So if you guys can play in that, you definitely should, and if you can't, you should watch us on Twitch, and we'll also post a link to that in the description.
Cool.
I think that's about all we had.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for tuning in to Shadowcast episode 1. We look forward to doing a whole lot more of these for you guys. We're really looking forward to just growing the community and seeing Shadowverse just be a big game.
Hell yeah.
So I'm HSK Szerro. Thank you guys for tuning in.
I'm Keishi.
And I'm TaKa.
Please
Have a good
join us again next time.
and have a good week on ladder, everyone.